Welcome to the first of my 2 videos for Star Wars Legion, a new game by Fantasy Flight Games, and it is a game that has miniatures. It is a miniature combat game. Now, I decided to make 2 videos about it because I wanted to talk about the miniatures as components, specifically more in depth, and then I'll make a second video that will be about gameplay and also have conclusions about the experience of playing the game in general. I wanted to talk about miniatures in a specific video, in a dedicated video, because miniatures are a big draw for many players. I'm sure there are some of you that are considering buying the game just because of the miniatures, and maybe you're thinking that then you can repurpose them for other games, to create your own diorama. You're going to have a lot of fun building them and painting them. Personally, I like to play with miniatures, and they're beautiful, painted, even better, but I'm not a crafty person. I'm not good at building them. I have no interest in painting them. I don't know how to paint miniatures, and I have no interest in learning. I just don't have the kind of skill and time. Now, for Star Wars Legion, the miniatures come unpainted, as you can see, and so that's how I will show them to you in my video. You need to assemble them, but it is super easy. I could do it. Even a person which is completely illiterate when it comes to hobby skills can do it. Yes, you have to assemble them, but in most cases, a miniature will have 3 pieces. That is the base, the body, and the arms. For example, what you see here, the Stormtrooper, pretty much the 2 arms are a single piece. It's a V-shaped piece. So you snatch it, you clip it onto the sides of the miniature, and it just stays there. So actually, you almost don't need glue to attach the arms of most miniatures. I did put a drop of super glue on each side of the arms, just to be sure, but really simple. You attach that one and the miniature is done. As for the base, yes, the base doesn't have little holes and little pegs that you can stick in. You do have to use super glue, but again, if I could do it, anybody can do it. So from the point of building, no problem whatsoever, even if you're not a great model player. Player with models. I'm sure you're a model player in other sense, like in terms of moral fiber and character. What am I talking about? Anyway, something also that I want to do in this video is to compare the miniatures that come in Star Wars Legion with the miniatures from Star Wars Miniatures, a game that was released by Wizards of the Coast, has a huge line of pre-painted miniatures. I played the game in the past, I reviewed it in the past, I like it very much, and the game definitely is the main source of Star Wars miniatures, which has been for the last decade or so. So it seems to me that a comparison is in order, because you may consider, well, should I switch to the Star Wars Legion miniatures and maybe use those to play that game, or vice versa, use those miniatures to play this game? I'll show you some comparisons and then you'll decide. Let's start with the big dude himself, the one that everybody loves, Darth Vader. Here, caught in doing the force choke thing, which frankly seems a little strange. This is a game about a battle. Things are happening fast. There are blasters firing all around, all sorts of crazy battle action. The force choke usually takes a while to do its to really achieve its result. So hey, it's a very iconic gesture. I don't know that it really makes sense as something that Darth Vader would do in a heated battle. I don't remember him doing anything like that in other movies, and I'm probably wrong because there's just so many examples for everything in Star Wars. But hey, as I was chatting, I gave you a chance of looking at the sculpt, which is very neat, very detailed, and I'm gonna compare it with a Darth Vader from Star Wars Miniatures, which is painted, and you already see a big difference between that line of miniatures. This one is that these miniatures are considerably larger. It seems to me they're also more detailed in many cases, especially when it comes to weapons, say the blasters or the Stormtroopers. But that gives you a sense. On the other hand, those, of course, have these shiny lightsabers. I guess you can use some very bright color if you paint them. But this is the comparison. If you buy these ones, if you play the game, you don't have to build them, you don't have to paint them. but they are smaller, and frankly, as sculpts, the average quality of these miniatures is superior to me. Stormtroopers, we got a bunch of them, and they kind of like are very similar to one another, and that is perfectly fine, because we know that those armors don't really do anything. We know that they don't really protect them. So I don't see any other reason why Stormtroopers are wearing armors other than the Empire is trying to dehumanize them. So the fact that they kind of look like each other, it's perfectly appropriate. It's perfectly fine to me. And so we have the average Stormtrooper with the blaster here. Let's see. A similar figure from the other set. Again, as you can see, if you look at the weapons, what I told you earlier, that these weapons here in Legion have more detail. And again, just more size, so bigger size. So that gives you, if you are a hobby player, more chances to add your own level of detail. Then for Stormtroopers that do stuff that is a little more fun, you have the guy with the bazooka type of weapon, really neat. And I found I didn't have one that had exactly the same weapon from the other set, from Wizards of the Coast miniatures, but this guy at least is kneeling down, so it has a similar pose. Also, I think it's a Stormtrooper. I also think it's a Clone Trooper, actually. Yes, a Clone Trooper. I cheat a little bit. Then the Stormtrooper with sort of like the Gatling gun type of weapons. I like this guy quite a bit visually. And the Gatling dude from the other game. You draw your own conclusions. I'm not going to say the same thing. Like, oh, this one has more detail and is bigger. I think you figured that out by now. Now, as for the commanders, so here's the commander. Here's the commander. You can see from the shoulder pads. The 80s, they had those shoulder pads. Just kidding. But definitely, it's a very nice figure. And in the game, usually a squad will have a commander and 4 generals, and 3 general soldiers. For the vehicles, in the starter set of Star Wars Legion, you have 2 speeder bikes. This one, which we can compare with a similar one again from the other game. Okay, you get a sense. And here's the other one. This is much more impressive. Come on. I hope you agree. And then we have the other speeder bike. I like it in a sense. They gave it that situational element instead of making the guy just the same. Here the pilot is looking back and shooting at somebody that apparently just passed by. As you play the game, it just looks a little funny that the guy is not looking where he's going, unless he's going in reverse. But you don't usually want to go in reverse because it's not as effective as going forward. But really nice sculpt. As for the good guys, we have, where is Skywalker? It makes sense to start from him. And as I was going through my collection of Star Wars miniatures from Wizards of the Coast, I realized I didn't have a Luke Skywalker with a lightsaber. How shameful of me. I really need a commander, Luke Skywalker. A lot of pockets. That's kind of the kind of like pants that I like to wear, so I can bring, I can put small books and dice and notes and my Nintendo DS in them. Very practical. Good job, Luke Skywalker. The rebel troopers, just your regular human with a firearm, with different sculpts. Again, not very different from one another, and that is perfectly fine. Not because they're dehumanized, but because, I don't know, because it doesn't bother me, that's why. Then we had the commander for the rebels. Hey, he has a binocular, so you know he's on top of things. And I have a similar similar miniature here. I don't know, similar enough to me that maybe the comparison makes sense, and maybe it doesn't. You decide. Hey, free country. Then we have the Rebel with cool weapons, with the Gatling gun. Neat. Then what do we have? The Duros. The Duros, yeah, some Duros have joined the rebellion. Good job, Duros, instead of just getting drunk in Mos Eisley's cantina. And here is a Duros from Star Wars Miniatures. Finally, of course, the pièce de résistance, the pièce de résistance for the Rebels is the 80 RT. Nice, detailed. Here it has a slot where you can add a weapon. There are 3 possible weapons that get in there. I assume you could just switch them and change them there, but I tried and I couldn't get them to stick there. Basically, you have to glue it, so I haven't committed to one that I want to glue. If there is a way of putting them there that they would stay there when you're playing, that you remove them and you change them for next game, let me know. I couldn't figure it out. So these are the miniatures. I didn't show you every sculpt, but I think I showed you every type of sculpt, not every single individual. So they are really high quality. I personally like them quite a bit. I think they're thematic. I like the fact that they are larger. They are, to me, they're attractive enough that even if I don't paint them, they already are attractive enough to make the experience of playing the game pleasurable to me, even if only from the point of view of the components. I mean, I'm not saying the gameplay is bad. Gameplay is pretty good, actually. I'm just saying that just the components are pleasurable enough, they're fun enough as they are built and unpainted. And if you put the work to paint, of course, I think they're going to be even better. And now, if you want to know more about gameplay, all you need to do is to watch my next video for Star Wars Legion.